My name is Martin Grahovski, I'm 23 years old, and this year I decided to come back to my home country to create the single biggest tourism campaign ever made about Bulgaria. In 4 months. Completely alone. This is 3 Minute Bulgaria.
Yeah, I think that the issue that I've always had growing up with Bulgaria is there's always been this sort of issue of country branding with my friends in Europe who have been coming here, and that's because I think there's generally this tendency to think of Bulgaria as Sunny Beach or as Sofia, and there's not really that much discussion about everything else to do in between. And my whole goal with the project that I was doing here was really to sort of shift the focus away from these places and create a more full picture of what Bulgaria really is.
There are 2 ways to reach St. Ivan Island. By tourist boat, or by asking local fishermen if they'll take you at sunset. Guess which one I chose.
So basically what I decided to do to counter this problem that I saw in Bulgaria was to start working on my own tourism campaign for the country, because really the type of work that was being done by the Ministry of Tourism here within the country wasn't something that I was particularly impressed with, I guess, and wasn't something that I was able to share with a lot of my friends. And so I decided to basically create a tourism campaign on my own about the entire country. I did this completely alone for 4 months, traveling around the country, every day a new location, a new video went up. And basically at this point the series is at 50 episodes, it's at around 50,000 followers, and it's been viewed more than 2.5 million times, which makes it the biggest tourism campaign that's ever existed about the country. And for now I'm sort of letting it sit until I decide what my next big project is in Bulgaria, because 50 is a nice number and I'm sort of just planning where to go from there. I was completely alone for this project. It was me, 3 cameras, so my drone, my small camera, and my GoPro, and my car, my 1989 Golf 2 that I was traveling, and my bike. Yeah. For some cities that I was going to, I prefer to ride around by bike, especially by the seaside, because obviously the weather is nice. You're down by the beach, so it's a completely different vibe. I think my biggest motivation, and this is definitely very cliche, is fear. It's one of those things where every single day where I'm not sort of trying to work on my own personal projects, I sort of get a bit scared, just because I know that now is the time when I have, you know, these opinions about things, like for instance what the country branding is about Bulgaria, and I know my thoughts around this will change very soon, and I'm sure that like 10 years from now I'm not going to look at this at all in the same way that I was looking at it right now. So it's really this constant fear that my opinions, my thoughts about things around me in my life are very temporal. They're going to change really quickly, and so I really want to do something with them while they're the way they are, and that's sort of, I guess, my biggest motivation. My biggest tip for everybody who's young, under the age of 30, because this is something that I went through quite intensely, was university does not matter for anything. I went into university thinking obviously that what I chose there had to define my entire life. I mean, I studied human rights, I studied international law, and that's not something I didn't like studying. It's just one of those things that I was scared that by picking that, that's what I had to be. And already in my first year of university, I started a film company where I was working on projects within the country that were loosely tied with my studies, but just also allowing me to pursue my own path. And now, 4 years after I started university, I'm working on tourism campaigns for different countries. So it's one of those things where people should really just not be as worried about university as I was, because really everything changes so quickly that you have no way of predicting where you're going to go. I think it's very important, at least for me it was, to try and do something like this alone. It's not because I'm not a team player, it's not because I don't like working with other people or anything like that. I really enjoy those type of projects. But I think there's something very special about traveling through a country completely alone, because then when you're in the middle of the mountain ranges, or when you're in this tiny village where you don't know anyone, right? The way you experience it, the way you learn things about yourself, the way you're capable of capturing it, it becomes really, really personal, and you don't have to, talk about yourself in whatever you're creating for it to be personal. It's sort of just the way you show it, and you can, I guess, feel that intimacy a lot more when you're completely alone on the road. And I recommend for anybody who hasn't, take a long trip by yourself and just, be completely with your own thoughts and just see where it takes you.